And Merry Christmas week to our listening audience. I wanted to surprise everybody with a nice song like that. And if you've been listening to this show, then you know that this is Understanding CBD with Max and Steven. My name is Max Sobel.
I am Stephen Wallman.
And we'd like to welcome you to the show. We're here every Sunday, Talk Radio 680 WCBM. Now, Max and Stevens is the company that sponsors us. This is our company. And we want you to know that we want to be your most reliable and credible source for this wonderful plant that we know is cannabis, and more specifically hemp. But we do also want to remind you that information discussed on this program is for general education purposes only, right, Stephen?
That is correct.
And none of this information provides any professional, medical, or legal advice, right?
Be crazy to take it as that.
Absolutely. So Noah's with us today in his blinky arc. Welcome, Noah. Good to see you as always. And
love that sweater, Noah.
Love that sweatshirt, I think it is.
Sweatshirt? I thought it'd be a little more festive.
Yeah,
sweater.
It's sort of festive. It's kind of green, and well, actually, it matches the tone of the show, even, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
And the time. I was just telling them that. I was just telling Stephen that we missed you, so we're happy to have you back. Couple of phone numbers that I'd like to share with the audience. So the number to reach us for the next hour here is 410-922-6680. That's for the next hour. We'll be here, and we're happy to take your call. Now, our company phone number, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 443-743-2444. You can call that number or you can text that number. Now, as for our song, so if you remember that song, that's Mele Kalikimaka by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters, around 1950.
Bing.
Bing. Now, the reason why that song is burned into my head is obviously because of the Christmas season, right? But certainly because of the movie Christmas Vacation. Do you remember the movie?
No. I've seen it, but probably once or twice.
Okay.
Tell me, was it
Christmas Vacation? Everybody, you're either a Clark Griswold or you're an Uncle Eddie, in my opinion. If you've seen that movie, you know what I mean.
Right.
So, and I think that a lot of people can relate to that song because they remember that movie from the 80s. I also wanted to keep it a little festive here because, we are talking about wintertime. We are talking about the festive season. And one of the things that we were talking about last night when we were prepping for the show, Stephen blew my mind when he brought up something related to the winter solstice.
That's right.
Enlighten the audience on what the winter solstice is, Stephen.
Right, and you've heard it your whole life, right? It's not a new term or phrase.
No, not a new term.
But we did a little research on it, and I think you guys may be able to learn a few things, because I know I did in the process. First of all, tomorrow, this is live, so Monday, which is about 15 hours from now, it's actually 5:02 a.m. Eastern Time, is the actual winter solstice, and it's a specific moment. And it's been known by many different names. The shortest day.
Will I feel the solstice?
Well, it's interesting because it depends on who you ask. That's a question. We had someone, I remember at one of the booths we were, the guy said, well, if I believe in it, do I have to believe in it for it to work?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, and will you notice it? Will it make a difference? These are all great questions, and this is the kind of stuff that we get asked all the time. It's it's difficult, but I have some information, and then in our typical style, we'll provide the information, and then you can decide if it makes a difference to you, if you feel any different or not. But what the actual solstice is the seasons changing, and it's not the distance the sun is away from the Earth, but the distance the sun is away from the equator. So it's the actual axis of the Earth that matters. So what the solstice is, when it actually changes direction, that moment it seems to stand still. And solstice means essentially, literally translated, sun standing still.
Well, thank you for defining that, because the only winter solstice I was feeling last night when taking the dogs out for a walk was...
Well, it gets confused a lot because I know you when we were talking about it, you brought up the equinox.
The equinox.
Right? Equinox, solstice, same thing. A lot of people think, well, it's the mystical stuff. It's space. It's, but they're actually not opposites. But an equinox is when the sun is directly over the equator.
That's okay. So the sun is directly over the equator. That's the equinox.
Right.
I see.
Right.
I see.
So the solstice is the shortest day of the year in the winter and the longest in the summer. Mm-hmm. The summer solstice is the longest. Now the equinoxes are actually equal day and night.
Equal day and night.
Equal day and night. An equinox literally translated is equal night.
Now, do you feel like this subject is a little bit woo-woo for our audience here and everybody listening?
Well, I mean, if you don't believe that the Earth is round and that there is a moon and a sun that interact with the round Earth, then you probably don't subscribe to this kind of stuff.
And since you're already open enough in your mind to listen to a show related to CBD and hemp and cannabis, the assumption is that you would be open to some of these alternative belief items. As far as I'm concerned and our household is concerned, what do you have to lose?
Well,
Why not believe in something different?
Yeah, and it's most people, I think, do understand the way the sun moves and how it happens.
100%.
And for all of evolution, humans have adapted to this, whether it's farming, because if you weren't prepared, you had to watch it or you would find yourself starving. The January, February, March, especially in this hemisphere, are deadly months. I think they're also known as that. So all is great, but the point is we just had an episode about seasonal affective disorder.
Well, I was going to ask you. So let's get to what this is about, right? You're jumping ahead here. So what is the point? What's the point?
Right. So the point is that the seasonality does impact people. And this being the shortest day of the year, if you are experience things like what is it?
Like seasonal affective
energy level
disorder?
gets affected. Yeah, the things we talk, mood. What else is on here? Sleeping patterns might be different. Your libido may slightly be different because it does impact your hormones.
A little more tired.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's cold outside. I mean, I feel it. I wake up every morning when the sun comes up, and I do love getting up when the sun comes up, but it's cold. And when you wake up, it's not really fun. But not as nice like summertime when the sun's out, it's warm, the birds are singing. You definitely feel
you're feeling your winter solstice when you get.
I am.
I know.
So over time, what happens if you don't deal with it is that's actually how illnesses happen. So that's how if you're home and you don't move off your couch and you just eat and don't pay attention and then just keep feeding. You can develop a lot of different issues.
We were to that point. We were just watching a show the other day, and the most interesting thing that I learned from that show, which I hadn't understood before, was that did you know that certain levels of stress and anxiety can actually affect your DNA in the long term? Yeah, and we're talking about like generational effects. It's amazing. We were watching the show. So, to your point about stress and anxiety and just not being active, how it affects your body, I mean, we're talking about short-term effects potentially, but generationally, we're talking about long-term effects.
Well, yeah, and this is also to your other question earlier, will people believe this is too much woo-woo? I mean, it's pretty understood that we are made up of something, right?
Yeah,
and
if you believe in something and you believe in science,
You do evolve.
Yeah.
Things do change. Things do get impacted. And what we really care about is bringing awareness to the things that we can impact.
That's right.
And by talking about how the Earth is moving and how that may impact you, when you get these diseases, how do typically people react?
And it's another tool also in your arsenal, right? Like it's just another tool in your medicine cabinet. I mean, you're already looking to different solutions. Why not instill another belief system in your arsenal so you can use that?
Well, so to the point, which is what we really want to talk about, is when you do have a condition, which I know I have arthritis and achy joints and pain. And my first approach, Max, what do people do when we have these diseases? What's our first approach?
Head right to the pharmacy.
Right, exactly. Head right to the pharmacy. What we suggest, and through my personal experience and many, many others, especially you'll talk to Doc G later in the show today, and we have a lot of stuff doing that. If you can embrace and understand what's going on in Mother Nature and in yourself as a person first, because we all know people that have hard times, and there's different ways that you can resolve it. And if you embrace Mother Nature, the nurturing side of nature with what it has to offer, simple things like good drinking water and rest.
That's right.
Father time. Let it actually give itself a chance to heal itself. It can.
Love your body, right? And allow Mother Nature to give your body hugs before drugs. What do you think?
Great. That just kept popping up for us all week.
Hugs before drugs. Right. Allow your body to take in Mother Nature. Use it. Try it. What do you have to lose before drugs?
Exactly. Well, look, here's another thing that's important before we get to our guest here. Running to the pharmacy, do you know how much money has been spent here, Max? Let's just say
certainly more than I expect
each year. Absolutely, an average in the U.S. $1,220 per person was spent in 2018, and that's worldwide was $1.2 trillion. In U.S. was $484.5 billion
Wow. You're just all about the numbers.
in the pharmaceutical industry. So that's about 40% of the
40%.
world.
40% of the world pharmaceutical market is the United States.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
crazy
Well, and a
number.
big reason of that is because of the patents and the high prices of pharmaceuticals. So drugs do cost higher, apparently, in U.S.
In the
than
US
in
than
other
other- yeah.
countries.
Right.
And because of that, it is a lot. And it's mainly because the research and development, they say, but there's also another study that showed about a third of their revenues or profits, I'm not sure the exact number, it really wasn't that transparent, gets spent on marketing.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm not surprised.
So this is why it's important, all you listeners, okay? And I'm sorry to take long to get here. We really need your help. We need your help sharing this information. We have a fantastic guest today, Steve Elmore. Doc G is one, both veterans, Air Force veterans, that they helped our country. We need to help these people, and that's what this is a vehicle for. And we really appreciate you guys listening. And I think this is the time,
Indeed. And so, as Stephen mentioned, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, our main guest, Steve Elmore, filmmaker, producer, director of Allegiance Films and a wonderful film called Unprescribed.
Welcome back to Understanding CBD. That's Eye of the Tiger, Survivor. And you know why that is inspired by our next guest here. By the way, this is Understanding CBD. I'm Stephen Wallman.
I'm Max Sobel.
We got Max Sobel right there. If you'd like to call in at all to speak to our guests, because we are live today in the studio, you can call 410-922-6680 to talk to us, or if you have any questions for our awesome guest. Other than that, our number 443-743-2444, call, text, whenever. Max and I just finished watching this film, Unprescribed. Right, Max?
Fantastic.
Fantastic, mind-blowing. And you know how that song makes you feel, The Eye of the Tiger, where your blood's boiling and
Yep.
it's ready to go.
That's
and you're
how
ready
I
to,
felt.
That's how I felt
You
when
nailed it,
I
Steve.
finished
Yep.
watching that movie. So for our listeners and everyone here, you must see this film. But anyway, it's produced and directed by our next guest, Stephen Elmore. Steve is an Air Force vet. A YouTube star known as the Geek Guy. I love those, actually. I watch them all the time. Max and I are old Amiga guys and Commodore geeks as well. A filmmaker at Allegiance Films, and just a great guy, everyone. Steve, welcome to the show today.
Guys, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And I got to ask you, just to start out, why this film, why this topic, and why now for you? Tell us about it.
Well, the film Unprescribed was a passion project born out of a personal, I guess, a personal need, a desire to learn more. The idea came to me from a couple of veterans who wanted me to document a grow they were doing in the Midwest, and I, being a veteran who supports other veterans in my films, I thought sure, but I kind of chuckled because they were talking about a marijuana grow, and we were both Air Force vets, and all our career that was like a
no.
deal breaker,
Big no-no. Yeah.
So, I listened to them and so on and so forth. It kind of fell through on their end with the budget, but in talking with these guys, I learned so much, and I realized with my own anxiety and a suicide attempt I had during my active duty time, I thought, why are this being kept from us, and how could I have not known this? And so I made it a personal goal to produce this film and tell the story of veterans who are suffering from trauma and a handful of, taking so many pills for every product they have. And here, one plant can take care of that. So that was my hopes and goals.
Yeah, well, it looks successful. If you look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 100%.
Wow.
I'm
not surprised.
The reviewers have everything good to say, and everyone I've shared it with had the same feelings about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you sort of know it's happening, like deep down inside, you kind of feel like it's happening, but when it's really brought in front of you, the way that you did, Steve, I mean, it's an eye-opener. My wife and I watched it together, and I think that, to your average person who doesn't think about the subject, it really brings it home for them, certainly. And I commend you for it.
Yeah, and an interesting thing is, who would you say needs to see this movie the most? If we were to, if someone is, if our listeners are able to share this film with someone, who would you think that it needs to be in at their living room around the holidays?
Well, there's actually two audiences, because the first audience, the obvious audience, or excuse me, not the audience, the obvious one, but the veteran audience is number one. They're the ones who are tuning into it and watching it and saying, thank you for telling our story. And this film just nailed exactly what they've been trying to say. So I'm trying to be a collective voice for the veteran audience. But we're only 1% of the population. We're trying to reach the other 99% of the population in states who are legal, for example, like in Maryland, because a lot of these veterans are dependent on their veteran benefits, or they may be federal employees, and by using cannabis, they will risk their jobs or their benefits.
Speaking of that,
We want to show the general public, especially those in legal states, that it's still a federal holdback, and that's what's stopping them from getting medicine.
so speaking of that, you're a federal employee, aren't you?
I am. Yep.
Gotcha. So it's got to be. So it's a challenge.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I was working at the Pentagon when I first started this film, and I had the opportunity, because I work in public affairs, to speak with the film production crew on if this is okay to make it. And they said, as long as I'm not shooting or not working on government time or putting bad words about the military in it, I'm okay to do it. And so, working at the Pentagon, it was a shame looking at, talking to these other vets who are having similar experiences to me and not being able to benefit from it because of an outdated federal law based on, outdated views.
Lack of understanding,
Yeah,
for sure.
and I could tell by the way you said it's only 1% of the population. Is that a lot of the pushback it seems that you get? Is just people don't seem to care because it's not enough? It does not personally touching enough people, because it's only 1% of the population. People don't know enough people in their family that this is impacting. Could that really?
Well, as a matter of fact, I think the veteran perspective we showed at the beginning with actual war scenes from one of the veterans. I think it's an eye opener for the rest of the audiences to understand that trauma is trauma, and we're just showing it on an extreme scale. So think about it. We've got housewives who are taking opioids and antidepressants and all these other medications with something that they can naturally treat. We've got we've got anybody from college kids to elderly. There's so many different things that this can take.
I mean,
care
Steve,
of.
the winter solstice is tough on me. Okay, it's cold. It's cold in the morning.
The solstice.
No,
is
but
tough.
but in a serious note, I mean, all those things we talk about are all valid, and then Steve's message that he's bringing is a topic that isn't really talked about enough. Is on top of the normal struggles that people have when you go to battle. You have layers of different physical and mental traumas.
Indeed. For our listening audience, I just want to remind everybody we're speaking to Steve Elmore. He's filmmaker, director, producer of Allegiance Films, and the film that we are speaking about is called Unprescribed. Steve, you touched on this a little bit. I watched you. I know you were at the Emerge Cannabis Conference, and I watched your talk. I appreciate that. One of the things that you brought up that I thought was really interesting, and our audience would probably be interested in, would be this concept of polypharma versus what you call polytrauma. So would you mind educating us on that?
Yes, absolutely. So the Emerge Cannabis Conference we just spoke at was our subject was Unprescribed, Breaking the Polypharma Cycle. And I talk about in the film, or a gentleman in the film called Boone Cutler, one of the soldiers, he talks about polytrauma, and that's having all these different ailments. I mentioned before, sleep, psychology, anxiety, PTSD, physical things, everything else. And the doctors there's so many of them, they don't know what to do, so they throw a different drug at every different thing, hoping to, satisfy, all the ailments they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's polypharma.
Mm-hmm.
But they're treating the effects of polytrauma.
Right.
So trauma could be physical or emotional, or anything in between.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And back to your point about veterans, we should probably mention that there's some significance to your movement and some of the stuff that you've been specifically talking about 22 a day. You know, we've had Eric Stamper, a good friend of the show, and he runs an organization called Veterans Initiative 22. So we understand what that 22 means. Maybe you could quickly educate the audience too.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what I first opened up with about why this film was made, why there was a personal connection. And as I mentioned earlier, mid-career, I had a suicide attempt. And the 22 that Veterans Initiative 22 refers to is the reported average of 22 veterans a day that are committing suicide every day. And so that number sometimes has been debated as low, they've said as low as 17, but in my opinion, one is too many. And so trying to address that, like Eric's doing here in Maryland, is we're trying to create awareness of this, and that sort of exactly plays into what my film is about, is trying to create awareness that trauma can be treated, and so can all these other ailments that we have through one natural plant. And so that's where we are with that. How it ties into the suicide prevention is because a lot of the medications they're on, especially some of the ones that are used for treating PTSD, can lead to suicidal ideations. And so you see in my film, there's a young Marine that took his life, and we have his mother, Janine, telling the story of Johnny about how he was taking all these different medications, and there was so much, there was some confusion in his records, and they put him right back on a drug that was already noted in his records that was giving him thoughts of killing himself. And he did. And so, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. So that's the fight we're trying to fight.
Yeah, yeah, and to and coming from your perspective, where you weren't a cannabis fan in your life, it came to you as a solution that you found later in your life. What would you say? Because we do this show a lot, not for people that already know about how great of a plant it is, but more for people that don't. And what do you have to say to them that may just give them what your experience is, and what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I can tell you firsthand that I have been a cannabis user prior to my military service. It's something I did regularly. I preferred it over booze. But then I switched to the alcohol on active duty. And then when I got out I tried it a couple of times, which also led to me not getting a job with the security clearance and so forth. So, and again, part of my personal argument for why this needs to be legalized. Why should we be prohibited from doing something that is actually making us more efficient? But I have discovered CBD has been a useful tool in soothing the nerves and the anxiety and filling those CBD receptors, those CB, I can't remember the receptors in our systems, CBN, no.
CB1?
Yeah, CB1 and CB2, thank you. But these are receptors in our body that just like, iron deficiencies, if we don't feel well, our body needs something like that. And it's sort of, the thing with CBD is you don't get any high off of it. You just sort of feel it taking the edge off of some of those nerves and those jitters.
Yeah, and that's how we explain it to a lot of people. We explain that it's, all the benefits of cannabis without the intoxicating effect.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the reasons why people are afraid is because they think they would get stoned from it.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the biggest things. And the second thing, I think people are concerned about it if it's legal, right? Are they going to get in trouble?
Right.
Right.
Which actually another thing that Steve, you opened my eyes to at the when I listened to you when your fireside chat at the Emerge conference was you mentioned that the Israeli army now has a different stance about this. Can you enlighten us here?
Yeah, the Israeli army and the Canadian service. They both provide,
Mazel tov, eh?
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. Here in my film, we have Dr. Sue Sisley, who's the only federally approved research trying to find the efficacy in cannabis for treating PTSD.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of veterans that have been, through anecdotal information, it's been a universal, astounding support that, yes, it's calming us down, it's helping our anxiety, it's treating our PTSD. And so, I'm sorry, I kind of got a little bit lost.
No, we were talking about the fact that Israel and Canada are becoming more. Yeah.
So what better tool to use for your people who are actually actively in combat to calm the soul, to calm the nerves? I mean, let's face it, back in World War II, we used to give packs of cigarettes in the field ration. Why? Because it calms our nerves. Today we know that it's full of nicotine and all these other bad things that cause our body harm, but we haven't found really any negative chemicals in the cannabis plant or the hemp plant.
Yeah, and if there are, please call us here at 443-743-2444.
In the meantime, go Israel, go Canada. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
right?
and let's support what we can do in the U.S. here, and on many fronts, federal, local, state. It's
Steve, we're coming to close to the end of our segment. I wanted you to give the audience an opportunity to sort of let them know where they can find your film, how they can access your film, how they can view it, and certainly how they can help you or get in touch with you if you'd like.
Absolutely. The best place to start is to go straight to my website. That's allegiancefilm.com. My company's Allegiance Films, but somebody already got that website. So allegiancefilm.com/unprescribed. Right there you'll get all the information on where you can watch it, which includes Amazon and UrbanFlix TV. That's a new streaming service that's available on most streaming devices, from Roku to Fire Stick.
Steve, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being our guest. Folks, we're closing out our segment, and when we come back, it's our friend Dr. G's Corner coming up after the break. Thank you, Steve.
Great.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. You're our Top Gun, Doc G. Welcome on this beautiful Sunday in Baltimore,
Such the perfect music
Maryland.
for you.
Well, thank you guys very much, and thank you for having me. I am Dr. Ben Gonzalez, and this is Dr. G's Corner. Currently, medical physicians struggle with recommending CBD as an adjunct to traditional treatments. Whether it be for pain management, anxiety, surgical recovery, neurodegenerative disorders, gut health, or just basic metabolic balance, physicians need studies and standards of care in order to be confident in their recommendations. With restrictive FDA regulations, old and archaic medical board standards, physicians' hands are tied. This leaves you, the consumer, tossed into the wind of over-marketed and poorly regulated over-the-counter products. So what do physicians think? Well, first, no one wants to hear a physician complain. It takes away from the confidence of the patient in the provider. And to be clear, your medical physician truly wants to help you. Physicians are limited by many things. First, by their education. Second, by the patient, what the patient is willing to do. And third, and this is a big one, by extensive and almost debilitating government, insurance, and legal pressures. I do not want to dwell on the negative aspects of working as a physician. As I said, no one wants to hear a physician complain. Rather, I want to introduce some common challenges physicians and patients have when dealing with the recommendations and the use of CBD in the treatment of medical conditions. Government and insurers think that time spent cutting patients and writing prescriptions is more valuable than time spent thinking about patients. In other words, surgery and drug recommendations in a short and limited appointment time is worth more than researching alternative treatments. And when I say alternative, I'm not talking about unfounded, poorly studied treatments. I'm talking about medically sound treatments that fall under the art of medicine. Medicine is a science, yes, but it is also an art involving interpretation and analysis of the literature. The art in medicine comes in how the physician applies the known literature to the individual patient. On the subject of CBD, there is a great deal of medical literature support in the safety of CBD use. We know that the body needs CBD for overall health balance and has a natural CBD system, like the endocrine system of hormones with molecules and receptors for those molecules in the body. What we do not have are standards of care for the use of CBD. We also do not have a full understanding of how CBD interacts with other medications. We need more studies, and this will take time. There is a role for properly sourced and purposeful application of CBD in gut health, surgical recovery, pain management, nerve diseases like multiple sclerosis, seizure disorders, weight loss, anxiety, depression, and many autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's thyroid disease, and even in the treatment of COVID-related lung disease. I will be speaking extensively in future Dr. G Corner discussions on this subject and the specific use of CBD in medicine. And for more information about the medical use of CBD oil and sourcing a high quality and specific type of CBD for your condition of concern, you can message me directly on Instagram at Ben Gonzalez MD or Ben Gonzalez _MD, or you can also call the clinic to set up an initial telephone consultation at 301-622-2722. Gentlemen, I hope that helped, and happy holidays, and wishing a wonderful, improved New Year.
Happy holidays, Doc. Thank you.
Yes, have a Merry Christmas with you and your family. Thanks again, Doc G.
My pleasure.
Great having you here. Great seeing you too, by the way. We have these on YouTube, so
Yeah, I had
Nice to
comb
see
my
your
hair
face.
today and actually put a shirt on. Indeed.
wait till you guys see Doc G. What a
Yeah.
handsome guy he is.
You're in for a treat.
Yeah, and thanks again for being here. Everyone, stay tuned when we come back. We're going to wrap the show up. We got our favorite segment everyone knows as
Mail sack.
Mail Sack.
Kind of a half a sack.
Yeah, and we'll wrap it up with some other information. Stay with us. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Understanding CBD. I am Stephen Wallman,
I am Max Sobel.
and we are here live as we are every Sunday. Our phone number here at the studio is 410-922-6680. I say it quickly because we're probably not going to take your call today anyway, right? We're ready to go. We had an awesome show today, man.
We did.
Right?
Yep.
Incredible guest, Steve Elmore. Thank you. Doc G, fantastic as always. But everyone's favorite segment, that's what we call it. And everyone likes to hear the music, right?
Mail sack.
You've got mail.
That's right. This is a little segment we call Mail Sack. It's a chance for us to tell real stories from our customers and everyone else.
It's where we get real.
It's where we get real. And want to let everybody know that I am here to say a few things. Our contest is going on.
This is the most exciting thing ever, is the contest.
We really haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, but if you haven't signed up yet on understandingcbd.com, all you have to do is put your email address in.
You click on the button that says subscribe to newsletter, put your email address in. Also, for bonus points, go to our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group. It's a private group. It's called Understanding CBD by Max and Steven. Go request to join that group. Put a message in there. You get more entries into this contest.
Yeah, and I'm a numbers guy, right? Just like you are. Max, how many people are currently in the, what are the odds of winning? How many people are in the
There's
the
not a
running
lot
right
of
now?
people currently
No?
in the running. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
Our thing is transparency. We want to be completely
It's a
honest.
small list. It's a new show.
So-
We're on episode 43, I think, right?
In our defense, we don't have an enormous email list because it's not something that we've done in the past. But point is, there's plenty of opportunities to
Good
win.
news for listeners.
Good
Go
news
sign
for
up, get
listeners.
your email. It's over almost $1,000 worth of stuff. You get a bottle of subscription bottle of Max and Steven's CBD drops, one bottle every month.
Every month for 12 months. It's a year's supply.
A year supply.
A year supply.
Almost $700. Doc G's putting some supplements to keep you well as well, and a consultation to help you get the new year started off right. We call it the gift bag, and we're doing the announcement on January 1st, the first show of 2021.
The nice thing about this gift bag is it's kind of a moving target, too, in the sense that we are constantly adding things to it. So there might be some more surprises in there as well.
Yep. There's some rumors of some things coming, and
It's great.
Best thing to do: sign up on the email, get on Facebook, be part of the conversation. We're excited about you, and so forth. So this week in Mail Sack, interesting because this is a topic that comes up for both Max and I all the time. Is I'm having migraines, and I'm at my wit's end. I've tried this, I've tried that, I've gone here, I spoke to this person, I've done the crystals, but somehow they've avoided using cannabis for CBD for some reason, right? So a friend sent some messages over and said, hey, I'm ready to try some. So excited about it. And the general thing for migraines is a steady serving. So small servings throughout the day is what a lot of the experts recommend, Max. As you know, you also not personally had migraines, but
Yeah.
you were just talking with someone else about that, weren't you?
Yeah, it's not for me. It's not a chronic thing for me, and I can definitely empathize with chronic migraine sufferers. But for me, it's situational. So I know that if I get a headache, which I do here and there, I know that it helps me by taking a little bit under my tongue. And I've timed it. My headache goes away. It's really in our house. It's replaced a lot of aspirin and ibuprofens and things like that. So for us, it works.
Yeah, and it's and especially for migraines, if you've suffered from migraines a long time, one of the rules that we've also seen play out time and time again, if it's something that took a long time to develop or has been around for a long time, reasonably expected to don't reasonably expect it to instantly drop.
Yeah.
So be consistent.
Be consistent.
And,
I remember back when we were doing more shows and in-person events, there was a lot of migraine sufferers. They came up and back then you could let people try it. So we would let them put a couple drops. You can actually rub it on your temple or wherever you're experiencing that pressure or pain. So you can use it topically as well. So there's some experience there.
Right, and what a lot of people do say, and now it's coming back, is it's for that breakthrough pain. And
Right.
even though it doesn't, eliminate a migraine, it's those moments where it just apparently gets so bad where, vomiting, it can at least get to that, lower
Yeah.
the level. So that was really something that popped up for us this week, as it does every week. We thought we'd mention. Another thing which is interesting, I got a message from a really good customer friend of ours, which is curious who can relate to this as well. Fortunate. She's close to where we are, but it's good morning, Stephen. How are you, Max? You've gotten these. I hope all is well.
Yes.
Of course, I waited to the last minute and ran out again. All right. I can't live or sleep without it. How can I get more? Right. And this is the Postal Service has been issues, and for our customers, we apologize for. There's nothing we can do. In some cases where it's just been horrible for customers, we've done what we can to take care of you, and we always will. But let us know. I don't know what it is, but packages lost, showing up like sometimes 2 weeks late.
And we feel terrible about it because we get the packages out the day that you order. That's our policy. It's a very big deal for us. So unfortunately, the whole Postal Service is out of our realm of control. What we can do is help you track the package. Certainly, if the package doesn't arrive or is damaged, we'll be happy to make good on that. No cost to you. But, I have some local friends and family that like to order the product, so I've actually started a drive-through service. And what that means is if you'd like to make a contactless payment, you can do it via Venmo. You can pay really however you want, and then you can drive by and be happy to meet you outside, fully masked and fully, COVID-free in the place to be. But I'll meet you outside like 1, 2, 3. So there's my line for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your line. I love
Thank
the COVID-free in the place. But we will. We're local in Maryland. That's
Right.
what we. One of our best friends, Gary Stein, used to say, "We're a 443 company, not a 1-800 company."
He used to say it like this: "We're a 443 company."
and that's what he loved most about us, was that we're local. We're right here in Baltimore, and you can touch us, call us. We're here. We answer our phones all the time, which is why we make our phone number present and available for everyone, because we do get calls all the time.
We do.
We're happy to hear from you. Most of the time, good news. We hear a lot of good stuff from customers. That
Unless their package is late.
Yeah, then it's not a fun call.
No.
Because then our hands are tied.
Right.
You know what I mean? Good. So we got the wrap up, the guest, we got the gift. Max, what else we want to close out the show with here?
I think we want to remind everybody to visit our website, www.understandingcbd.com. There you will find a plethora of articles and information around this miraculous plant. You will also find every single one of these radio show podcasts available there. You can listen at your own leisure. You can listen right from the website, or you can, if you use like a podcasting service, we're all over the podcasting services. In fact, we just were added to Spotify and Pandora recently. Other than that, I say call us, and call us anytime. The number is 443-743-2444. Call or text us. Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas week. May everybody have a blessed, happy holidays. We will see you on episode 44 next week. Thank you.
And what a gift, a bottle of CBD.
A bottle of CBD.
I would love one in my stocking.
You got it.